Used to be the best way to get out of a photo radar ticket in Colorado would be to say that the driver in that grainy photo wasn't you. Change in state law today ruins that popular escape route. Our Spencer Soisher starts us off with that.
Getting a ticket can ruin your day. But at least when you get a photo radar ticket, there's the potential for a new pic for your dating profile. I think I look good in this one taken on my way to my second day at 9 News. Kept it. But in Aurora, they've taken away the privilege of looking good in a Candid because they won't take your photo at all anymore.
With the changes in state law, that is actually no longer required, actually no longer allowed.
Aurora City Manager Jason Batchelor is not entirely correct. Nowhere in Colorado's updated state law on photo radar systems does it say that photos of the driver are no longer allowed. But changes to the law that take effect today makes the photos less important for police.
There was a defense that could be made that I was not the driver. The person in the picture is not me.
A change strikes out the part of the law that allowed people to say, "wasn't me driving," to get out of a ticket. And now says the only way out of a ticket is if the car is sold, leased, or reported stolen, or the registered owner was dead at the time of the ticket. It's the registered owner of the motor vehicle detected, responsible for paying the civil penalty.
What the new statute did from the legislature said, hey, we don't care who the operator is. This is about who the registered owner is.
A lobbyist who helped write the bill, Hazel Gibson, told us vendors and a group that lobbies on behalf of cities pushed for that clause, though she said she's not exactly certain why. And with the change, Aurora thinks it's got no reason to take your picture anymore.
But the change in law removes that as an affirmative defense. It's to the registered owner.
So we were curious if there's perhaps another reason for turning off those front photos. We requested interviews and more information from the Aurora Police Department and the city today. They declined. We also asked just how many people have been using this excuse, and was it working? We asked Denver that as well. Aurora Police said that data was not easily available to provide on a short turnaround. Denver told us the same thing, Kyle.
Honestly, Spencer, it is just a shame that we're going to lose those iconic photo radar tickets. There was one of my wife that I put on the refrigerator like a kid's report card where she was unhinging her jaw like a python to eat an oversized muffin as she went 7 over down 17th.
You'll make sure that's on the fridge for the rest of time.
It was up for years. Yep. So what was the idea behind the change?
Well, they said that they were okay with it. The lawmakers were okay with putting in this change, given that some of the concerns with privacy right now. We talk about flock cameras, feels like a lot around here. They think, all right, one less picture to be taken, hidden somewhere. They were on board with that. They also asked to not have to be able to serve people each time. The lawmakers were not okay with that portion, I was told.
Interesting. All right, Spencer Soisher, thank you. An Aurora police officer has resigned after he got caught sampling the drugs he was taking off suspects, sampling enough on his drive home that he ended up incapacitated in his patrol car. APD says Officer Michael Gallagher is also accused of lying under oath. He was removed from duty and placed on paid leave during the investigation. Police Chief Todd Chamberlain says he sent the case to the district attorney's office to decide whether Gallagher will face criminal charges. An enormous drug bust in Colorado removed dangerous drugs from our streets, but it didn't take much police work, and now we've learned it is not going to lead to criminal charges. It was last November that someone bought a storage locker in Douglas County and discovered tubs of fentanyl pills, 1.7 million fentanyl pills. Cops were called, they drove over there, picked up the drugs. Boom, instant bust. There was the big obligatory press conference to announce it. Douglas County Sheriff and the local head of the Drug Enforcement Administration heralded it as the 6th largest fentanyl haul in U.S. history, and the head of the local DEA took a victory lap on conservative talk radio.
These guys, they'll never show it, but yeah. I can tell they have like the superhero right underneath the shirt. Really cool. It's just like just about they rip it off and they jump into action and save American lives. Yeah.
Well, we now know that no criminal charges have been filed against anyone for that locker full of fentanyl. When we asked investigators why, the DEA told us that it believes that the people responsible are facing charges for other crimes. When Democratic Socialist Milot Kiros, a fierce critic of Israel, won a stunning landslide victory in the Democratic primary over Congresswoman Diana DeGette in Colorado's 1st District, Dr. Shimon Blau rallied the Jewish community to gather signatures to put him on the ballot as an independent. Blau says that Milot Kiros contributes to anti-Semitism and that voters in Denver in November need another choice. While Blau has positioned himself as a moderate and a centrist, our review of more than a decade's worth of online writings by this newcomer to politics paints a different picture. Blau certainly holds liberal views on abortion and gay marriage, but much of his online writings could pass for any right-wing troll, mocking liberals concerned about Donald Trump, opposing Muslim immigration, and sharing far-right tributes to Charlie Kirk. In today's next conversation, I asked Shimon Blau about his claims now that he stood with Denver's progressives, sharing their values and opposing Donald Trump. Have you done anything that we would be able to confirm publicly that shows that you have voiced opposition to the Trump administration?
Not that I can think of.
Okay. But in fact, publicly, you have pushed back on the people who did push back on the Trump administration. When President Trump instituted his so-called Muslim ban in 2017, it blocked travel from several Muslim countries. The president's critics were protesting in airports around the country,
Yeah.
and you referred to those protests as, quote, everything that is wrong with liberals on full display.
Yeah.
In fact, your online writings show
Yeah.
a decade-plus stream of contempt for liberals, particularly those concerned about Donald Trump.
Yeah.
And you're certainly entitled to your views, but
Yeah.
now you're telling progressive voters in Denver that you're one of them when your writings for a decade plus show that what you've done is you've mocked them, made fun of them, and made clear that you're not one of them.
Yeah.
Who are we to believe?
I mean, I would have to go back and take a look at all of those posts, but definitely my views have changed over years. That's a very, very long time ago. And one of the things about listening and growth is to be able to change one's views on things.
Let's continue to explore those views. So we discussed your opposition to the liberal protests against the Muslim ban.
Yeah.
In 2015, you encouraged people to sign a petition against Syrian refugees being allowed into Colorado. That petition called Syrian refugees, quote, at best, a drain on an already strained economy, and at worst, a Trojan horse for radical Islam. What are your views on Muslim immigrants?
I have no problem with Muslim immigrants at all. I think this is a country of immigrants, and immigrants have contributed to our society. I would have to see the context of the time and that post.
You once referred to President Obama as Barack Hussein Obama. That's an obvious anti-Muslim dog whistle. Why do that?
That was not my intention at all, but I did have issues with his relationship with Israel at that time.
Sure, but
I think there was issues with the Iran deal as well, which I did not agree with.
Sure, you would acknowledge that calling him Barack Hussein Obama is, that's pretty obvious anti-Muslim.
That was not my
bigotry,
intent.
Right? But they were your words.
Okay, but again, that was not my intent.
Okay. You have described President Barack Obama as the worst president ever. Is that still your view?
I believe that his deal with Iran was very, very bad. I did not agree with him on that.
On the topic of Israel, Shimon Blau sidestepped my questions about U.S. support for Israel. He says that he supports a two-state solution for Israelis and Palestinians, and Blau said he no longer believes what he once wrote, that Palestinians don't deserve their own state. He stood by his statement last year that all American Jews should prepare to leave the U.S. for Israel. In a moment, our conversation continues with Blau's 180-degree turn in favor of universal health care, after previously saying that Coloradans who support single-payer are, quote, utterly stupid. Young Coloradans are facing cancer with battle after battle. First, obviously, just to get healthy, and then they have to deal with the long-term emotional, physical, and financial challenges that follow. That's why this week's Word of Thanks microgiving campaign supports the nonprofit Shining Stars Foundation. For decades, they have helped Colorado's pediatric cancer patients and their families through recreational and social programs. And they realize that many of these young people are facing a sort of cliff when they either age out or they finish treatment and the other support systems drop away from them. So the Shining Stars Foundation created its All Stars program with retreats, mentorship, connection, and assistance for survivors over the age of 18. The folks in charge there told me that even after the celebration of remission, these kids carry a lot of trauma into their adult years, and there are few resources and support systems made just for them and that age group. So Shining Stars Foundation created one. Let's help them expand it to serve the hundreds of young Coloradans who are aging out of their programs for teenagers. Scan the QR code on your screen or text the word thanks to 303-871-1491. We'll send you that link to donate. Even $5 adds up fast when a bunch of people do it. That's how you've raised $19 million. And you know I'll never ask you to give to a cause that I don't back myself. So I'll match the first 50 donations of $5 to get us rolling. More than 8,000 of you are signed up to make a monthly pledge to the Word of Thanks Fund. Put in your info one time, pick an amount each month that's automatically split to benefit everyone we feature. And that will add about $50,000 to all 4 campaigns in August. Colorado's bears are being driven by drought to do some crazy dangerous things.
Never too late to do something new, to do something fun, and to continue to live your life.
Coloradans with dementia continuing to learn, grow, and renew their sense of belonging. That's next. Dr. Shimon Blau is running as an independent against Democrat Milot Quiros in Colorado's 1st Congressional District, Denver, billing himself as a doctor who listens. Quiros is an outspoken supporter of universal health care. Dr. Blau was a fiery opponent who told me today he's changed his views. 2 weeks ago, you told Colorado Public Radio that you don't have a problem with universal health care. In fact, you said long-term universal health care is something that we should strive for.
Yes.
Before you entered elective politics, you said, quote, I am so against the government taking over health care. Without private industry, health care is a cluster. You called the Affordable Care Act a disaster. You said the Colorado voters who supported a single-payer health care measure at the state level were, quote, so completely and utterly stupid.
Yeah.
Did your views on this change, or is it about aligning your views with the district that you're running for?
No, they've changed dramatically. I'll tell you what actually changed. Over the past 10 years or so, I have seen so many patients come in without insurance or with issues with their insurance or having to pay high deductibles. And that has been a real issue. It was a real eye-opener for me. So yeah, that's one area where a lot of my views have changed on that. And I do believe that we're gonna get to universal health care. It's not gonna happen under the Trump administration, unfortunately, but it's something that we should really strive for.
What you're talking about now, that's 180 degrees from where you previously were on universal health care.
Oh yeah, it is.
And you said it's patients who helped to change your mind on it.
Yes.
Because when the Affordable Care Act passed, you said, quote, I am proudly one of many physicians who will not see patients with insurance through the ACA.
Yeah, I believe I ended up seeing them though.
My full 30-minute conversation with Dr. Shimon Blau will be available shortly on the next YouTube channel and on 9news.com, which is also where you can see 2 interviews that we have conducted with Democratic candidate Milot Quiros. Chat with meteorologist Chris Bianchi. It says Ray behind you, so you're talking about storms on the northeastern plains.
Yes, we do. We have some pretty nasty ones. Just had an 81-mile-an-hour wind gust recorded in eastern Weld County with this line of storms that is moving through the northeast plains. And in Denver, I'll get to you in just a second, but some strong storms in the northeastern corner of the state. Sterling, Akron on north and east along Highway 76. Look out some wind producers as well as some small hail within some of those storms as well. Quiet at the moment in Denver. I expect things to stay relatively quiet in the Denver area for the rest of the evening, though we will have a couple showers likely across the west metro area in particular, and some widespread mountain showers and storms as well right now. We'll see the showers and storms continue to kind of fizzle on out as we head through the rest of the evening, but then we get a good surge of monsoon moisture tomorrow behind a cold front that'll give us more low-level moisture in the Denver area, so good chance for storms tomorrow afternoon and tomorrow evening. Could have a few storms lingering into tomorrow night, and then another wave of storms for us on Friday. So a stormy and much cooler couple of days ahead. And how about this for tomorrow? High right around 80, a little different from what it's been over the last little while. And if you like that, take a look at this 7-day forecast. We don't have anything at 90 or above until next Tuesday. That means 5 consecutive days below 90. We have not done that since late May. So some cooler weather around the corner.
Colorado's drought is so bad, bears are now climbing power lines looking for food. Custer County deputies worked with wildlife officers to rescue a bear off a power pole this morning. They used a bucket truck from an electric company to rescue the bear after cutting power. The bear is going to go to a rehab facility in Del Norte. Sadly, there was a second bear that did the same thing today and was electrocuted. Colorado's seeing an enormous increase in bear sightings this summer as they've been pushed around by the drought looking for food and water. CPW says this will likely continue clear through December when the bears start to hibernate. Living with dementia can be lonely. The choir in Denver gives those folks a place to find connection. And a reminder, you can catch this program streaming each night 6 p.m. wherever you watch 9 News. And next is a podcast where you find those. Music can be a soundtrack for our lives at the best times and the worst. A choir in Denver is using music to bring people together as they go through one of the hardest things life can offer.
And the second verse choir.
Oh, music.
Music has such a way of connecting us.
Little darling.
Second verse choir is a choir for people living with dementia and their care partners.
For people suffering from dementia and people living with someone who is suffering from dementia, it can be isolating.
Here comes the sun.
He sounds great. My name is Julie Hollinger.
My name is Ray Hollinger. I sang with my mother and father from right after I learned how to talk. Under the boardwalk.
I'm Ann Wrigley. I'm the program director and co-founder of Second Verse Choir.
The guy beside me helps me because I can't remember the thing. And he's right there to go ahead, Ray, go ahead, Ray.
Some of our participants would like to share some testimonials.
This disease can be so isolating for both the individuals and the caregivers.
I'm finding new purpose and joy in life. I have something to look forward to when I wake up. Hooray, only 2 more days till choir practice.
Oh, man.
So it kind of takes away from some of the sense of isolation and just a feeling of belonging because you're with people that understand your day-to-day life and the circumstances that you're going through.
I can see clearly now. It is joy.
It's never too late to do something new, to do something fun, and to continue to live your life.
That is awesome. Second Verse Choir has a performance this Saturday at Central Christian Church in Denver. We are back here with your feedback as delivered by Zvi in the 9 Pride shirt, rocking it. Back after this. Young Coloradans who successfully beat cancer still face real challenges: mental, physical, financial, emotional. And that's where the nonprofit Shining Stars Foundation comes in. Scan the QR code on your screen or text the word THANKS to 303-871-1491 to join me and a bunch of others in donating to support their work. For years, the Shining Stars Foundation has had programs for young people in cancer treatment and their families, and now they are expanding their work to help young adults and cancer survivors, people with real needs who are often sometimes forgotten or overlooked by other programs at that crucial moment in life. A lot of feedback tonight about Spencer Seuscher's reporting on how Colorado is changing the rules around photo radar tickets, specifically people's nostalgia for the grainy photos that used to arrive in the mail along with your speeding tickets. Andrew writes, I had friends who purposefully got a photo radar ticket. They both wore Santa hats and beards and used the photo for their Christmas card. 9 News HR would like me to say, we don't condone speeding in any form or fashion. What I would otherwise say is, that's stinking hilarious, and that's even better than my wife's photo shoving that enormous muffin in her mouth while she was speeding. See you next time.